If you were listening to this, you probably bought into that great cultural contract.
Right, the one we were all basically sold since kindergarten.
Exactly. The deal was simple. You work hard, you get accepted into a good college, you secure that degree, and in exchange, the market rewards you with a stable, well-paying career.
It was supposed to be this guaranteed pipeline.
Yeah, a guaranteed pipeline.
Yeah.
But right now, nearly half of all recent college graduates are working jobs that, frankly, do not even require the degree they just spent 4 years earning.
It is wild to think about.
And they're doing this while holding a bill for like $30,000. So instead of a guaranteed career, you're looking at a reality of massive student debt and chronic underemployment.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It really is. I'm your host, and welcome to today's Deep Dive. Our mission today is to unpack a specific AI-driven rescue mission for this exact problem.
And I'm here to provide the expert analysis. We are pulling from a March 2026 press release and some really fascinating white paper excerpts.
Yeah, detailing the expansion of the EON Entrepreneur School by a company called EON AI Ventures. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the data points we are looking at highlight a system that hasn't just stalled out.
Right. It's actively working against the people it was built to help. It is an active deterrent at this point.
How so?
Well, to understand why a massive intervention like the EON Entrepreneur School even exists, we have to look at the structural crisis happening right now in the workforce. I mean, we have a global economy violently adapting to artificial intelligence and automation.
The ground is shifting under our feet.
Exactly. The actual mechanics of value creation are changing daily. But meanwhile, traditional university models are still operating on basically a 20th century industrial pipeline.
They are moving at the speed of academia.
Yes, while the market is moving at the speed of AI.
And that speed differential is leaving just a massive wake of financial wreckage. Let's look at the actual numbers here, because the sources outline a concept called the debt-to-deliverable gap.
It's a brutal metric.
It is brutal. According to the New York Fed, as of Q4 2025, the underemployment rate for recent graduates hit 42.5%.
Wow.
Yeah, the highest since 2020.
So you have nearly half the graduating population taking on roles that historically only required a high school diploma. But they are entering the workforce carrying the financial baggage of a premier university education.
And it is worse than just heavy baggage. It's a structural barrier. Total U.S. student loan debt sits at $1.84 trillion.
Trillion with a T.
Trillion. The sources note that the average bachelor's graduate is walking across that graduation stage and directly into $29,560 of debt.
Which translates to monthly payments of around, what, $334?
Yeah, $334. Now, I was looking at that specific number. $334 a month is essentially a car payment. Isn't this like buying a wildly expensive VIP ticket to a theme park, only to find out you're stuck in the parking lot and have to pay another fee just to get to the rides?
That is a perfect way to put it.
But in the context of innovation, it functions like a localized economic depression. If you are a graduate wanting to build something new, how does that specific monthly payment fundamentally crush your ability to innovate?
What's fascinating here is that the $334 isn't just a line item on a budget. It is a psychological and financial anchor. It entirely eliminates your margin for risk.
Because you always have that bill coming due.
Right. Think about the fundamental requirement of an entrepreneur. You need the runway to fail, to iterate, and, to endure periods of zero income while you build your product.
Which you can't do if you owe the bank every 30 days.
Exactly. When your wages are already suppressed by underemployment, that $334 strips away your entire safety net. You literally cannot afford to take the leap to start a business because you are legally obligated to service the debt of your past education.
It forces brilliant minds into survival mode.
Yes, taking whatever safe, immediate paycheck they can find rather than entering innovation mode.
So universities are still teaching entrepreneurship as this abstract, consequence-free theory. You sit in the lecture hall, you read a case study about early Amazon, write a business plan for a hypothetical product, and get an A.
Which feels great in the classroom.
Right. But out in the market, the modern economy doesn't care about your hypothetical business plan. It demands practical adaptation. It demands tangible deliverables.
And this is the core of the mismatch. The debt traps the graduates, and the purely theoretical education leaves them completely unequipped to build their way out of it.
They have academic debt.
But zero entrepreneurial deliverables.
Which brings us directly to the intervention. Because traditional institutions are failing to provide a practical bridge, external programs are stepping in to fundamentally redefine postgraduate success. Enter EON AI Ventures and the EON Entrepreneur School.
Right, they're deploying a methodology designed to shift this entire bottleneck. They call it the EON Garden Model.
The EON Garden Model, what does that actually mean?
The philosophy is entirely focused on moving students physically and practically out of that state of academic debt and directly into producing actionable income opportunities.
And there is a core claim driving this program that we really need to pressure test. The white paper states, and I quote, "Innovation is no longer capital constrained."
That's a huge claim.
It is. The chairman of EON AI Ventures, Dan Lidgerskar, is quoted in the press release saying, "The constraint on entrepreneurship has shifted. It's no longer capital. It's the tools, pathways, and willingness to act."
Right.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on this. Saying you don't need capital to start a business sounds a lot like saying you don't need flour to bake a cake.
I see where you're going with this.
I mean, it ignores the physical reality of the market.
Right.
You still need server space, you need legal fees to incorporate, you need massive ad spend to get anyone to actually see your product. AI doesn't pay for your Facebook ads or your AWS hosting. So isn't this zero capital idea a massive stretch?
It sounds like a stretch until we look at how AI fundamentally digitizes the factory floor. Historically, your flour and cake metaphor, or like a car factory metaphor, was spot on. Capital was the factory.
You needed the money to build the thing.
Exactly. If you had a tech idea 10 years ago, capital paid for the software engineer to write the code, the graphic designer to build the brand, and the marketing agency to run the campaigns.
Right.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, AI alters that specific equation. AI itself replaces the human labor required for that initial build.
Okay, so the AI acts as your co-founder and your staff. But what about the infrastructure and distribution costs I mentioned? The server space.
This is where their methodology comes in. You don't need massive AWS hosting on day one because you aren't building a bloated generic platform. You are building highly targeted AI-optimized microservices that run on incredibly lean architecture.
Oh, I see.
And you don't need massive Facebook ad spend because AI tools allow you to hyper-target organic channels. You can generate high-converting, personalized outreach at essentially zero marginal cost.
So the barrier to entry has moved from who has the most funding to buy attention to who knows how to leverage the right tools to capture it organically.
Exactly. The cost of reaching a minimum viable product and getting your first paying customer has effectively dropped to zero.
That reframes the entire timeline. The capital gatekeepers are completely bypassed. But, it is one thing to boldly claim AI removes these constraints in a pristine white paper.
Sure.
It requires rigorous mechanics to execute this for a frustrated, underemployed graduate. So if I'm that graduate, what does this actually look like? I log into the EON Entrepreneur School, and then what happens?
The experience is built on 4 core pillars, but they function as a continuous pipeline. The first is what they call AI-powered pathways. The entire goal here is compression.
Right. The sources say they compress the entrepreneurial journey from years down to weeks. But how?
Think about the traditional discovery phase. A normal startup spends, 6 months running focus groups, manually analyzing competitors, sending out surveys to see if an idea is viable.
Yeah, it takes forever.
In the EON system, the AI simulates thousands of consumer interactions against your product idea in seconds.
Wait, really? In seconds?
In seconds. It runs predictive market analyses instantly. It tells you where the friction points are before you ever write a line of code. You are compressing the trial and error phase through simulation.
So instead of spending 6 months and $50,000 to find out nobody wants your product, the AI runs that gauntlet for you in an afternoon.
Exactly. And that feeds perfectly into their second pillar, which is the structured methodology. This isn't just a sandbox where they hand you an AI prompt box and say, good luck.
Because that would be overwhelming.
Far from it. It is a globally deployable, step-by-step system. The AI actively guides you from ideation to execution, optimizing the resources you already have. You don't need to tap into elite venture capital networks because the methodology isolates the exact leanest path to revenue.
Which means, if they are compressing the timeline and hyper-optimizing resources, they must be hyper-targeting what these businesses actually do. They can't just be pumping out generic life coach apps.
And that is the third pillar, a relentless focus on outcomes. This program is engineered as a direct attack on that 42.5% underemployment rate we talked about.
Okay, how so?
The AI directs entrepreneurs toward fields where market demand currently exceeds supply. It identifies gaps in the B2B or B2C markets and helps you build solutions specifically for those gaps.
Oh, wow. So it is the absolute inverse of the theory-driven university model. You aren't guessing what the market wants. You are responding to a mathematically proven demand.
Precisely. And the final piece of the puzzle is that this is accessible and scalable. They are taking enterprise-level platforms and democratizing them for the solo founder.
And the white paper touches on a philosophy here that changes the tone of the whole conversation. They explicitly state they're moving away from zero-sum entrepreneurship.
That is a crucial psychological shift. Zero-sum thinking assumes the market is a fixed pie. If I capture a 10% market share, someone else has to lose 10%. But EON argues that AI lowers the cost of innovation so drastically that it grows the pie. It creates entirely new micro markets and efficiencies that just didn't exist before.
And it is really worth noting who is actually making these claims. EON AI Ventures isn't a startup that popped up last Tuesday riding the generative AI hype train.
Not at all.
The sources note their leadership brings 25 years of experience in immersive learning and XR solutions extended reality. So they aren't just giving students a text-based chatbot. They're bringing decades of experience in building immersive, high-stakes training environments where you learn by actually doing.
That background is everything. The sources explicitly contrast EON's approach with generic AI.
Right.
Generic AI tools might deliver an 80% quality output, which is, good enough for a rough draft of an email. But when you are building a business or operating in high-stakes environments, you need 100% precision.
You can't just have it hallucinate a business plan.
Exactly. EON's 15 years of proven programmatic success allow them to bring that enterprise-grade, high-stakes precision to the individual learner.
But as we look at how they plan to distribute this high-stakes precision, there is an irony in the press release that we just cannot ignore.
Oh!
We just spent this deep dive detailing how traditional universities are failing, right? How they created this massive debt-to-deliverable gap by clinging to theory. Yet EON explicitly states their deployment is modular so they can partner with these very same universities.
Oh, yes.
Are they essentially launching a rescue mission for the institutions that caused the problem?
This raises an important question about the survival of the traditional university. And the short answer is yes, this is absolutely a rescue mission.
Wow.
EON is not trying to burn down the university system.
Yeah.
They are patching its most critical vulnerability. And they operate two distinct platform businesses to do this. First, the enterprise AI platform, which supports high-level operational intelligence. Second, the virtual campus, or virtual compass, which enables scalable training and knowledge transfer.
So they are effectively Trojan horsing a modern, actionable curriculum into the legacy system.
Precisely. If a traditional university partners with EON, they can plug this modular AI pipeline directly into their existing framework.
Which changes everything.
Suddenly, that university isn't just handing a student a piece of parchment and a $30,000 bill. They are handing them an AI-powered pathway to build a tangible business before they even graduate. Universities have to adopt this because if they don't, they will lose the value proposition war entirely.
So what does this all mean? If we pull all these threads together, we're looking at a legacy educational pathway that is buckling under $1.84 trillion in debt, leaving nearly half its graduates stranded in underemployment.
It's a bleak picture.
But the horizon is shifting at breakneck speed. The sources project the AI market size will hit $827 billion by 2030. Programs like the EON Entrepreneur School are not just supplementary courses. They are the blueprint for a complete paradigm shift.
A total shift.
We are moving from a system where you pay a massive premium to memorize academic theory to an ecosystem where you leverage precision AI to produce tangible entrepreneurial deliverables. The bottleneck is no longer the capital in your bank account. It is your willingness to leverage the democratized tools sitting right in front of you.
And if we follow that paradigm shift all the way to its logical conclusion, it leaves us with something profound to consider.
What's that?
Well, if AI can genuinely compress the journey of building a viable business from years into mere weeks, and if capital is truly no longer the barrier to entry because AI acts as your entire factory floor,
Right.
what happens to the traditional concept of the entry-level job?
Oh, wow. That is a staggering thought.
If a 22-year-old graduate doesn't need to spend 5 years doing basic data entry just to learn the ropes of an industry because, they can spin up their own AI-empowered venture in a month, why would they ever submit a resume for an entry-level position?
You wouldn't.
We might be moving toward a future where the workforce isn't structured as massive corporate pyramids, but rather a vast decentralized network of solo, AI-empowered entrepreneurs seamlessly collaborating.
That completely rewrites what graduation day actually signifies. It is no longer about hoping an established corporation grants you permission to work. It is about generating your own economic reality.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these sources. Keep questioning the systems and the friction points around you, and as always, keep exploring the tools that can help you build what's next. The next time you see a graduation cap thrown in the air, you might not be looking at an entry-level employee. You might just be looking at a one-person enterprise whose only real capital was the willingness to act.